He said that he saw his dad kill himself in front of him, but then he kind of follows it up by saying it was with food because his dad was diabetic. What'd you go to school for, Ben?
So my undergrad was in finance. My doctoral program was in the history of powerlifting and bodybuilding.
Whoa.
So the formal name was interdisciplinary sports studies, and then they changed it halfway through to physical culture and sports studies. But essentially, I had a degree where I could focus on any aspect of sport over the past 200 years and do my dissertation about that. So it was bodybuilding and powerlifting.
What was your dissertation on?
It was a biography of Jack Lalanne. So I'm sure you're familiar with him, yeah.
Yeah, he would fucking like swim with like tugboats behind him and shit, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he was unbelievable. Tell us more about Jack Lalanne.
Okay, so Jack
lived to be
Lalanne-
almost 100 years old, right?
Yep,
96.
96. Yeah. So Jack was, traditional kind of skinny kid who, shorter, kind of. He liked to tell the story like he was picked on and everything, but he was an athletic freak, dude. Like he was All-American in 2 different sports and like star quarterback in his high school team. So like he was short, but he was an athletic freak from like day one. And so when he was starting World War II, when he was kind of like, I guess, early 20s, I can't remember the exact dates, I probably should. So he's on these ships, and he's one of those guys who had started lifting out weights really, really early. And so while he's deployed, he's training with guys on the ships. He stuck some dumbbells on, and he's doing his calisthenics and stuff. And so when he comes back from the war, he opens his own gym. He actually opened it a little bit before, but it really blows up because he had talked to all these guys while he was deployed. They all come back, they start going to his gym, and he really starts to make a living as a gym owner. Wow. Well, television starts right then, and he's known as a gym owner in the Southern California area. So he gets an audition to be on a show, to have like a fitness show on television. So he has it wasn't the first ever, but it was the first really popular fitness show on television. And you can imagine he makes a huge reputation out of that because people are just starting to get into this stuff. Gyms are getting more popular. People are more concerned about weight because they're eating all these TV dinners out of their refrigerators that all of a sudden everybody can afford. So he makes this huge reputation off of it and ends up doing a whole lot for the fitness industry, honestly, just because people didn't know how to train. And at least he had some pretty good ideas.
I remember seeing stuff with him. He would just have
I didn't know he was that jacked. I only know him as like the older athlete, but holy shit.
He was super jacked, super strong. Yeah.
You think performance enhancers are being used at that time?
At that picture, no, I don't. And the reason is, so testosterone was available in the 1930s, but honestly, it wasn't popular among athletes like that until it started to get introduced in Olympic weightlifting. And that was just very small amounts of Dianabol. And that was after that picture.
Is that the small amounts of Dianabol?
Look how defined his arms are right there. I mean, that's
nutty.
Really good definition.
Just nutty.
I remember he would show like people what to do with just like a chair. He'd be like, oh, you can squat off this chair, or you could, stretch off this chair. And I remember seeing things where he would talk about, he said some really wild stuff because I think he wanted to really prove his point. He said that he saw his dad kill himself in front of him, but then he kind of follows it up by saying it was with food because his dad was diabetic and he kept overeating.
So that's
like,
a lie.
Holy shit.
Yeah, Jack told a lot of lies.
He probably
just straight up lies.
He probably did try to pump things up a lot. Right?
No, so Jack's father was an alcoholic and eventually he was committed to an institution. He died of alcoholism.
Oh, Power Project family, how's it going? Now on this podcast, Mark, Andrew, and I, we talk about fasting a lot. We talk about the ketogenic diet and a lot of different types of diets, but Bubs Naturals has a product. They have the collagen protein, which is amazing. They have these apple cider vinegar gummies, which are like crack, but they have
they have
these MCT oil powder packets that I've never used to do this, but in the morning I'll wake up and I'll put it in coffee, and the smoothness, number one, in terms of the mixing is amazing, but the consistency of my energy through the day because of the MCT oil powder is peak. Andrew, how's your experience with it?
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. It's like the best way to start the day. You're satiated, you're energized, and you're just ready to crush the day. So if you guys want to get in on this MCT oil powder, head over to bubsnaturals.com and at checkout, enter promo code PowerProject to save 20% off your entire order. Again, Bubs Naturals, promo code PowerProject to save 20% off. Links to them down in the description as well as the podcast show notes.
Yeah, he pushed the physical culture really well. Yeah, a lot of his records and stuff were kind of weird, like where he was swimming with the boats and
crazy.
different things. I think it was just to get hype, get people excited.
Absolutely 100%.
What was the feat that he did? This Alcatraz?
So one of his was somebody drove. He was taken on a boat to Alcatraz Island, and he was handcuffed, and he had to swim back to shore, back to the mainland. So the issue was the big issue, right? Besides the fact that you have to swim handcuffed, which is possible. You can do kind of a modified breaststroke called a porpoise stroke. You can just kind of like do like an eel little thing in the water. So it is possible. The problem was the water was cold as fuck. So to practice, he would sit in an ice bath. He would have his wife just pour ice over him over and over and over again. He would sit for up to an hour in the ice bath. And then when he did the stunt, he covered himself in like animal fat, like as kind of like insulation, which was a thing for cold water swimming at the time. But when he was trying to do this, he didn't account for the fact that there were going to be tides. So it was a really windy day and the tide pushed him further than he thought. So he ended up having to swim something like 2 miles like that. Just nutty.
As a muscular ass dude, to be able to swim like that, that's actually very rare.
Well, when he was, so I mentioned that he was a quarterback and like a star quarterback in high school. His senior year, he got destroyed, right? And the doctor was like, I'm not sure you're going to be walk again, let alone do other stuff. So he just trained himself to walk up hills. But after that, he could never run again as cardio. So he took up swimming as his big thing.
So you're at the University of Texas, is that right?
Uh-huh.
Oh, awesome. And you were studying like physical culture, like that's a rare thing. I believe that in Texas, they have a powerlifting team.
Yes, they do. Good one.
And were you part of that?
So I was too old. I was. You have 5 years of collegiate eligibility, but there was also an age cutoff, and I was past the age cutoff. I think it was 25.
It's like one of the few schools in the country that has like a scholarship
really
program, right?
Yeah.
For powerlifting.
So I trained with the team. I just didn't compete with them. So I was on the team at the same time as Ian Bell and Preston Turner, and a couple other like really, really good IPF lifters that they had there.
Damn, that's pretty awesome.
I don't think we even really touched on this much, but for you and your training practices, you move a lot of training volume. You've done both powerlifting and you do a lot of bodybuilding. What are some habits you have each day that just yield better recovery that you make sure you do not miss?
So it's a tough question because I think a lot of people think about recovery and they're expecting some like really beneficial thing. And I think all these things are going to be kind of minimal, right? But like really good about sleep, even though my sleep isn't the best quality just because I've always had problems sleeping. Like it's been really helpful. Have a CPAP, try to make sure that I'm staying away from the phones and everything before bed. So that stuff is absolutely beneficial. Taylor and I are really good about when we have something that's just a little bit jacked up, it's not hurt, right? It's not injured, but it's hurt. We're really good about staying, okay, this muscle group we need to work on. We're not wasting an hour in the gym every time we go in foam rolling, but when something is an issue, we take care of it. So that makes a big difference. And then walking, really, really big on making sure you're doing, like, it's hard to do a lot of cardio and trying to gain a lot of weight, but walking is one of the ways that you can kind of get that in beneficially.
What does walking help you with? Because we walk a lot, and what does walking help you with?
I mean, you want to take this one?
Yeah, so for me, being a strongman, always trying to get bigger and bigger, and also minimizing the health risks of that. I've kind of found that just your quality of life and how you're feeling, it's going to be a lot better. The other thing too is like, you've been so bloated that you've fallen asleep on the bench press and feel like shit. And so it kind of helps me push more weight because I'm accounting for being that big. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of a preventative measure, I guess.
I also practice my breathing while I'm walking. So I'm either holding a vacuum, right, trying to build that abdominal control, or practicing nasal or diaphragmatic breathing so that I don't have so much of a problem breathing through my nose.
It's actually pretty funny. We'll be sitting there and he'll be practicing breathing through his nose. I'm like, dude, are you fucking pissed off? Are you okay? He's like, yeah, I'm just practicing my nose breathing.
Yeah, I think just walking in general, I think helps, digestion. Maybe just helps reallocate the calories that you're consuming and puts them in the right place rather than in the wrong spot.
Yep.
That's not any sort of real scientific thing, but there is some research where they did test metformin versus walking, and they found the walking to be as beneficial or more beneficial to something that is supposed to help with the uptake of glucose. So walking is extremely beneficial, and it's just kind of simple. Like if your legs are real sore, you do something cyclical, running, maybe even biking, like getting on an Aerodyne bike. And if your legs are really, really sore from a training session, you get on a bike and move around a little bit, and you'll find you'll get some pretty good relief from that. Yes. Even though you would think in your head, you're like, that's just going to make everything 10 times worse because I'm already fucked up, but it will help a lot.
Hey, little mama, let me whisper in your ear. Like, comment, subscribe to the channel because we continue to bring you peak content on this channel. Obviously, you guys are here. You guys have watched the whole video. So like, comment, subscribe. All right. See you later.